Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a subject to you today that is of interest to me. It might be interesting to you or someone you know, and that subject is snitching. Well, what is that? I mean, we've pretty much all heard about tattletales and snitching and ratting people out, blowing whistles and whatnot, and I want to talk about something that's kind of interesting because the perception I see about this is there's again camps, right? There's two camps. There's squares, and then there's non-snitches, right? People who are cool or they have loyalty, legitimate loyalty. Now, I'm not trying to pick a camp, and I'm saying that there are no camps. What I'm saying is that people are confused in general. Here's the thing: tattletaling is uncool, especially when it's trivial, when it's petty, when it's something that doesn't matter. But sometimes things matter, and the problem with the perception that nobody should communicate something that's of importance, that there has been a problem or a crime or an injury that someone should refuse to communicate this to anybody. There's an immediate problem. Okay, it also calls into question who should you communicate it to, under what circumstances. It's not even complicated. So here's the thing: if you're snitching, that's your goal is to betray somebody. Okay, that's part of the definition of the word, if you ask me. You're not just communicating something, you're not protecting people, and you're not solving a problem. I'm going to pause right there. So there's something called camaraderie among criminals. There's phrases that we all have heard, most of us have heard: thick as thieves. There's partners in crime. Okay, well, wait a minute. The problem is that if somebody's willing to lie for me or steal for me or cheat for me, they will just as quickly do that stuff to me directly. Okay, this is a fact. If it's in their character, if they're willing to do that to some other guy, how am I any different? So you might argue that you protect yourself by expecting it, right? Well, I don't want to live that way. I'm going to be honest. I don't want to live expecting people to rip me off and lie to my face, cheat me, and do me dirty. That's not how I want to live. I got to believe that there's a better world out there, possibly. So how do you do that? First of all, you got to allow communication. Okay. And it's the spirit. Now, let's be honest. The spirit of the communication defines whether it was, malicious, as in if you're trying to get someone in trouble, or if you're doing something different. So consider this. Consider the possibility that reporting something that has happened or that may likely happen, and there's a little bit of judgment involved in predicting things, and there's people who are called busybodies who overreact, who assume and read into things, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about things that are substantial, real and present, and imminent. And there's a difference between being overly edgy or paranoid and being legitimately concerned about something. Sometimes it takes a little bit of judgment, but there's a difference. And when there's a problem, when there's going to be a problem, this is my final point. I'm at almost 4 minutes. Reporting that thing that has happened or is going to happen, that will likely possibly happen, is part of covering your bases. You're not necessarily reaching out to get someone in trouble. You're not necessarily looking for help. But some people assume that that has to be the case. That's not always the case. Now, sometimes what you're doing is you're covering your bases. You're covering yourself. Because if somebody's doing something, or they're going to do something to you or around you, and when that goes down, you fail to communicate it, it becomes your word against theirs. So if you want to do that, if you want to refuse to communicate things, and hope that your loyal friends, such as they are going to back you up when the shit goes down, if you pardon my expression, I wish you all the best of luck. But in my experience, that does not work out so well. It almost never works out. So what you can do is manage it. You can preempt that. You can cover your bases with communication beforehand. Get the right people at least aware that there's something going on, after which, I hate to say it, I know short story, true story. Many years ago, I'd say 10, 15 years ago, I heard about a bar fight, a local bar fight where I was living. I didn't go to that bar. I never go to bars, but the dude died. Okay, these two drunk assholes leave the bar and they get in a fist fight. People are fragile. Nobody understands this. One guy punched the other guy. The other guy died on the ground, flat, just died. Okay, that's murder. So, all right. So my point is, don't take take things seriously that need to be taken seriously. If somebody's stalking you or threatening you, or you believe that they're stealing your stuff or they're gonna steal your stuff, make a report. Shit. If something happens, there's a report. It's the least you can do. And what's the harm? Okay, so especially if nothing has happened. You can't be snitching if nothing's happened, first of all. So anyway, be respectful. Don't be malicious. Be loyal. Be honest. And don't trust people who are dishonest. That's all I got. Have a good day. Reach out at whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.